Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is DeWeese. Hi, Ab.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Adi. Thank you for bringing me in.
Yes, well, thank you for being a guest on this podcast. So the way that I found you is because I read your book, which is an excellent book about AI. You know, we're both members of EO, and I saw that you launched your book, and I was like, oh, I'm curious about that. So start reading it, and it is a great book. It's AI Essentials, right? I mean, it's all about the essentials of AI. And so well done on writing the book, and congratulations about that. And we're going to talk about AI implementation, the connection between processes, procedures, and AI, your journey. So it's going to be a great episode.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let me first of all introduce you formally. Let me read your bio so our listeners know who you are. So, Ab, you are a serial entrepreneur, you're an investor, polymath. And can you explain the polymath part for those that don't understand it?
So it's a way of communicating that I like all of the sciences and all of the maths. Back in the day, a couple hundred years ago, people used to be generalists and they would study, physics, chemistry, mechanics, all sorts of abstract math, and weren't necessarily pigeonholed or specialized. And that's how that's what I've grown into over my career. I have a background in physics and then 20 years of experience as an electrical engineer and software engineer. And I love pure and applied math.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate. I mean, I'm an industrial engineer, like all sciences, and yeah, I mean, I studied chemistry and physics and math. It's great to have that wide knowledge. Okay, fantastic. So you're a polymath, you're an investor, polymath, and AI educator recognized for your ability to distill complex problems into clear, actionable solutions. Boy, do we need that in AI era, right? I mean, we want to basically take these complex solutions, complex problems, and distill it into simple solutions. So you have a hands-on experience with AI and technology, and it spans finance, education, entrepreneurship, and safety mission-critical industries like medical devices, aerospace, and defense, and oil and gas.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And your deep understanding of how AI transforms productivity and decision-making has made you a trusted advisor to businesses seeking to future-proof their workforce and optimize operations. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about it. You're a serial entrepreneur. Tell us about that. Tell me about that. Tell our listeners about that. What businesses did you have? Did you exit? What makes you a serial entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I guess the first part is there's a few mistakes under my belt, right? Most of us who found a little bit of success, had to stumble a time or two. So the third time was a charm, getting my services business, Good Automation, off the ground. And most recently, I'm now co-owner of a company called Extreme Scale Solutions with my partner Rishi Khan, as well as we're part of an AI incubator launching some AI product businesses. One of them I can talk about, which is it's an AI solution for patients to triage themselves as they come into clinics in the medical industry. That's one that I'm really excited about right now.
Nice. Okay, so tell us about your story with AI. When did it start? How did you become an expert in AI and AI solutions?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So I'm going to give you a two-sided answer. I have been preparing for this moment for 45 years, right? I've been studying this for my entire life, and I didn't understand what the words meant in AI until about 2023. But as I started to learn the vocabulary, I realized that I've known the math and I've understood it for, a couple of decades. Because for any of your engineering listeners, if you have a background in linear algebra, calculus 3, like vector calculus, you understand a computer gradient, or you do, multidimensional calculus, and you understand a little bit of statistics or probability, turns out you have literally all of the math that you need to understand to comprehend, how AI works at the lowest levels. There's a little bit of a vocabulary education to understand what the data scientists mean when they say the words in their vocabulary, but it turns out there's a one-to-one correlation to everything that we know and love as as physicists and double E's. So that was a really kind of
DeWeese
pleasant.
stands for electrical engineers, for
Yeah.
those that
Yes.
don't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. Electrical engineer. So and then I was able to really dig in and say, what exactly what is a transformer? What is an attention head? What does it mean? What is an encoder? What is a decoder? How do these things work at the lowest levels, mathematically? And then just build that awareness and that understanding up kind of from the ground floor. So I started that process in 2023, but it wouldn't have been possible without, the just, a career of investment and understanding, investing in a career and educational background of understanding how the math works, right? So I'm on a two-part mission. I want to teach, rank and file engineers that see AI as this really cool, mysterious thing. I want to teach them how the math works because they already understand the math and they can understand these things at the lowest, most fundamental levels. There's no reason not to. So I'm excited about that. I love to take.
How do you teach them? Like, what do you use to teach them?
Yeah, just a number of tools like Google, the internet, three blue, one brown. It's an excellent website that's got a battery of videos that take you through this very conceptual understanding of how does a neural network work, and then just a lot of reading Wikipedia articles, reading papers, reading, digging and understanding, Q&A, having a forum and a place where you can ask people that are knowledgeable, like what is a multi-layer perceptron? How do you break all those things down? And then just distill this stuff to the point where at the lowest level, you understand there's a vector, there's a matrix, you multiply them together, you get another vector, you iterate over every element, you scale every element in a certain way. And then there's some like really cool aha moments where you realize that what the data scientists call the softmax function has existed for hundreds of years in statistical mechanics, right? Like these things are not new, they're just described with new words. And so I love teaching engineers that. The other thing that I love to teach non-technical people who don't have the same math background. I love to give them this conceptual understanding of how large language models work. And I talk about that in my book. So if you buy my book, you have to read the whole thing. Read like the first 5 chapters at least, first 3 to 5 chapters, because I front loaded the book with a lot of explanation for lay people, not for engineers, for every person on earth to understand how do large language models, how do the ChatGPTs and Geminis, how do the AIs that seem like they're talking like people, like how do those things actually work? And it's elegant in its simplicity and yet mind-blowing in the fact that they can produce human language. So all they do is guess the next word. They make an intelligent guess of what the next word would be, such that they're really good at guessing the next word in a way that builds out sentences and paragraphs that are indistinguishable from human written content. And they leave their kind of robotic fingerprints on it. You can still kind of tell when an AI wrote something. But for the most part, these things are shockingly good at replicating the patterns found in human speech. And so the takeaway there is they're not actually intelligent. They're not actually smart. They're just really good next word guessers. They guess the next word because they've been trained on a corpus of information that includes everything ever written down in human history. Just think of it like that. Like, the entire internet, hundreds and hundreds of published books and novels. And they, after seeing, page upon page upon page of written language, they're really good at sort of saying, based on all the things that I was subjected to, I know that when I see the quick brown fox jumps over it's going to be lazy.
Fence.
Yeah, no, lazy dog. Well, so there's and when you're learning how to type, there's a sentence called "the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," and it actually has all the characters in the alphabet. And so it's a thing they teach you. You know, they probably don't teach it anymore, but but the word fence would actually be, it's a good guess, right? It's a high probability that that would come next. And in fact, when I say this to people, that's usually what they offer. They'll guess that a lot. But the most probable next word isn't necessarily what the large language model is going to produce. It might say, of the 10 most likely next words, I'm going to randomly grab one of these, and that's what gives it some of its creative flair. For you guys that are wondering, there's something called a hyperparameter. The temperature hyperparameter is actually what sets the probability distribution over which words you choose. And if you set the temperature to be really far in one direction, it will always only pick the most probable word. But if you move the temperature just a little bit, it'll choose from among the top 5 or 10 words. That's what gives it some of its creativity. But anyway, I could talk about this stuff for hours. I love to teach how this stuff works to people with all backgrounds.
That's beautiful. I mean, I think learning about it is so important because it takes away the mystery of what it is. And some people might be scared of it. So once you know it, it takes that fear out of it. It also allows you then to do more things and figure out how you can actually use it and how it will help. Let's talk about business owners, entrepreneurs that are not engineers. Do they need to know all the jargon and they need to know all the things behind it? Or is there like are there specific things that they need to absolutely know in order for them to embrace AI?
That's a really good question. Very, very good question. So the good news is, I'll give you the answer real fast, and I want to break it. I want to break the answer down. So the
Yeah.
answer is no. They don't need to know anything. You as a business owner, as a business leader, all you need to know is your customer, your market, your process, your business, your people. You need to know your business, and to the extent that you know your business, it's the single most important thing. The other thing that I think is really important for people, even at the highest levels, is they need to be comfortable talking to AI. They need to have spent a lot of time chatting with, the different AI models out there, so they get a sense for what these things are able to do and then where they fall short. And you can only develop that sense if you spend time talking to them. So the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is right now. So if you're not using AI every day, start using it every day. Find an excuse to just spend a few minutes talking to it on a regular basis, because understanding how these things communicate is just a fundamental intuition that you have to develop. So with those two things in hand, if you can reimagine any business process as follows, then this is the only skill that you need. So to reimagine a business process, you have to know your business. You have to know your business inside and out, and you have to know how you can substitute, one process for another. But if you can re-envision a business process in such a way that you send an email to a person and that person emails you back, and you can never read their body language, hear their tone of voice, interact with them, but you can always ask them clarifying questions. And then you could even send the email to someone, and before they send you the answer, they're going to send the answer to someone else to check on it before it comes back to you. And imagine that these emails happen instantaneously. I send you this email, I get the answer back immediately. If you can break your process down in a way where it's all written as small transactions that are either emailed or texted or in written form, then it's very easy to pick that newly envisioned process up and hand it to a series of AI models to run through those steps. Because you're sending them text, they're going to send you text back. And in fact, you can send them a question and they're going to give an answer, but you can set these things up where the answer from that AI goes to another AI to look at it, and the answer to that goes to another one to look at it, and then the answer to that comes back to the person. So when I give the analogy of sending an email blind, where you're not able to interact with or talk to the person, you're just simply sending a question and you get a written answer back. To the extent that you can re-envision your business process like that, you can take a lot of advantage of these AI systems to kind of rethink how you do things.
Absolutely. You know, that's a great point when you're talking about the processes. You know, we work with companies where we document and create their processes and procedures. We do it for different reasons. You know, we do it for onboarding, for training, for knowledge transfer, but it's also now more and more we help people with identifying their workflow, so then they can go to experts like you to identify, to put the automation and the AI in place.
Mm-hmm.
Can you actually automate? That's a big question that I'm being asked a lot. Can you automate without defining the processes first?
No, absolutely not. So one of my best engineers, we have this thing that we say back and forth is, you know, to automate a process, first you have to do it manually, right? Every time, like to automate a process, first you have to do it manually. And we will always, when we encounter a problem, we're going to slow down and stop and make sure we can do every single little step and that those are clearly defined and delineated. And then we write software around that. Then we put AI around that. It's only after that those inputs and outputs are well known. And you know, most software engineers will write you, you know, they'll stand on their soapbox and complain for hours about business people who don't give them clear requirements. And so to be able to articulate a business process and really define it actually becomes a set of crystal clear requirements that you hand to an automation team or an AI team to go and fulfill. So it's really interesting to hear what you do, because you're the tip of the spear, and I would say you're the most important part. The automation is easy. The hard part is figuring out what are you going to automate and why, and then defining that in a way that's readily translatable, you know, readily systemizable.
Yeah, I agree. So let's say our listeners, some of our listeners right now are wondering, okay, so how do I create a workflow that will be easy for them? You know, they call you and say, help me automate it. What are some of the requirements that the workflow has to have in order to make it easy to automate?
It just needs to be clear. I mean, I can't give you a better definition. I mean, we do projects that support, you know, drilling operations in the oil field that are several miles below the earth, and we do AI systems and communication satellites, you know, way up in orbit. We do stuff in the semiconductor industry. We do stuff for armaments in the military. We do stuff for the medical device industry, and you know, and everything in between. Every project is different, but the ones that are successful are when people know what they want, and when they don't know what they want, it sort of becomes expensive. I'll give you an analogy. I find if I'm in the market to buy a car and I don't know what kind of car I want, or I don't know what kind of thing that I want, it tends to take me a lot longer to find it, and it's always more expensive for me, the consumer. Whereas if I know exactly what I want, I have all the purchasing power, I have all the negotiation leverage. It's very easy for me to go to the marketplace because I say I want a 2017 F-150 with leather seats and a bed liner and a backup camera. Like, I just want these 5 things. Like, give me your best price. Where if I go in and say I don't know what I need, help me solve this problem, then you know, that's a different solution. And I want to be clear, a lot of our customers, when they engage us, they don't know what they need, and the value that we provide is to help them decompose and solve their problem, help them extract the requirements, help them understand what's possible, do a trade study, you know, do a trade studies where you assess all the trade-offs of different options, do a build or buy assessment. Are we going to build it? We're going to buy it off the shelf, or can we buy most of it off the shelf and we have to build the glue to glue them together? We do a lot of that work, but to the extent the customer knows exactly what they want, and it tends to be more color by number, then the project is always cheaper, faster, easier to implement, and lower cost. And so yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more that the value of going in on the front end and do what you do has got to be a huge benefit to your clients.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for everyone, in terms of you want to know what the system, it's kind of like taking an x-ray, like you're talking about analogies, right? I mean, it's kind of like something is hurting, but you don't know where or what to fix first. Well, you want to do an x-ray of existing state, and that is the workflows that you have right now in the business, and then figure out, okay, well, I mean, if you could automate everything, that'd be amazing, but that's not the case, right? What should you automate first that will get you the biggest return on investment or will make the biggest change? And then take it from there and automate the next thing and the next thing in order to get your business automated and the most efficient. But it's also, there is another point is also, you talked about like transforming how AI transforms productivity and decision making. And in your bio, you also said, that you are a trusted advisor to businesses seeking to future-proof their workforce and optimize operations. So we are talking about optimizing operations, but also future-proof the workforce. And in order to do that, you have to, after you automate, you have to understand the new process as well. And where do people fit in? It's not like now you're going to get rid of all your people. You do have your human workforce that is very important. Like you said in the beginning, it's that's the machine doesn't think. It's not like it's somebody that thinks. It's the humans that think and have the mind. The machine is just fast and you can utilize it, right? So you need to know how to utilize it. So what's your take on it? What's your take on the importance of the workforce? Where are we going in terms of jobs, in terms of transformation? What do you see?
I really appreciate the question. It's my favorite thing to talk about. So the future is bright. It's a wonderful, big, huge, fantastic future. And for anyone that wants it, and for people that are afraid of it and don't want it, unfortunately, it might be kind of bleak. But for the people that are embracing it, it's going to be phenomenal. So if I was a lumberjack, a few hundred years ago, and I was really good at swinging an axe, and the chainsaw comes along, and I want nothing to do with that chainsaw, I'm going to become irrelevant pretty fast. So it's up to me to decide to learn new techniques. And the word technology, well, if you look at the roots of the word technology, it's like technologos. It's the study of technique. It literally, all technology is
and isn't techno come from like it's art, right? I mean, that's really the derivation of that.
So if I do a thing, I have a technique. Several decades ago, if I wanted to send dimensioned drawings to a fabricator, I would need a drafting table and a draftsman to draft all this stuff out. And I would draw lines, I would erase them, I'd draw construction lines, I would trim them, I would do all these things. But it's so much faster and cheaper and more effective to use 3D modeling software and then cut dimension drawings. That is a change to the technique of generating a set of dimension drawings, and people tend to wrap that concept together in this notion of technology. All it is changing techniques. So techniques will always change. They will always improve. And if you have the mindset that you don't want to change and you don't want to get with that fancy new thing, you like the old way, you're probably going to get left behind. But if you have the mindset of embracing the new, always learning, leaning into the future, and trying to find better and faster ways to do things and explore new things, you're going to be fine. This is going to be easy for you. This just transition into AI will be seamless and easy. So there will be displacement, but there will be prosperity on the whole, and there'll be a lot of job growth. But if you're one of the ones who is resistant, it's probably going to be a painful transition. So one of the presentations I love to give, my partner and I, we kind of tag team this presentation. It's how to hire for AI. We're talking about how to hire an AI team. We go this whole thing, but at the end, the punchline is really simple. It's recruit the same way that you recruit, find people the same place you find them, interview them the same way you interview them. You know how to find the right people for your company, Mr. and Mrs. Business Leader and Business Owner. You only need to add one little thing. Find those people that won't shut up about AI, they just love it, and bring those people into your organization. And most companies have like 10% natural attrition every year. And so you're going to gradually turn your company over. If you're always hiring for that, you're just going to gradually, naturally turn your staff over as 10% of your staff naturally leave, every year. You're going to you're going to bring in this culture of AI, and all you need is people who are leaning into the future that want to do this, and you'll naturally hire. So my message to the workforce, to employees and people who are wondering what to do, all you got to do is lean into this thing. Learn how to talk to ChatGPT. Come up with ideas. Your boss and their boss and their boss and the ownership are looking for answers. Be someone with the answer, right? It's an opportunity to shine. It's an opportunity it's an opportunity to avoid doing the mundane, so you can spend more time at your creative best in your strike zone, right? That's how I look at this stuff, and I'm very positive about the future. I'm really bullish about the future, and I'm sad for the people that are afraid of it, and because of that fear, they're going to be prevented from leaning into it. And I feel like I'm on a mission to help lower that fear. As you kind of mentioned earlier, the more we can understand how this stuff works, the more we have agency over it, the more we're not afraid of it, then the safer it feels and the easier it is to embrace. And that's what I want to tell the world.
Absolutely. And they should read your book as well. We should tell that. We should say that. And I'm sure there's going to be another book because, things change so fast. We have to keep, we have to keep ahead. So tell us if people want to hear more about what you do, learn more about your consultancy, read your book, where should they go?
It's abdeweese.com. It's my name, abdeweese.com, abdeweese.com. And then from there, you can find the rest of me. You can buy my book, you can find my consulting company, you can find the companies that I'm launching. And I hope to see you there. If you want me to come speak, to your business or to an event, I can come and talk, put on a workshop. We've got some out of the box. I can customize it. I'm on this planet to learn and to teach. It is my job to learn every day, day in and day out. And I feel like it's my job to learn so that I'm prepared to teach. And I love to teach and I love to help.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. That had been a fantastic conversation. And I have the feeling that we're going to invite you again because there is so much we can talk about. So there will be more future conversations.
Excellent. Adi, thank you for your time. It's been great.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.